it seemed like we didn't know exactly where our life was going. And suddenly, the real thing that took place was when I got a call from my new agent who said, they, Tony Randall would love you to play one of the characters in Three Men on a Horse for the National Actors Theater. And you would be working with Jack Klugman and Drew Haggerty and a wonderful cast. And I said, fine, I'd love to do it. I got the part, and 5 minutes later, the call came from Hollywood saying they want you to come out right away to replace the father in Seinfeld. And I said, I can't go out. I'm going to open and start rehearsals in 2 days. They said, you will come out, do it, and you'll go back and you'll do it, and you'll come back. I said, I can't do it. I won't do it. And I turned down Seinfeld. And the next thing I knew was the show closed, Three Men on a Horse. 5 months later, I got another call, and they said, come on out, you do Seinfeld. I said, what's Seinfeld? They said, well, it's a guy, he does this stuff, and he just, talks about things, it's about nothing. I said, well, they want you to replace the father. Who's the father? John Randolph. I cringed. But I needed to work, so I went out, and I met Larry David at a NBC thing. We sat down, we started reading the lines, and there was Jason Alexander, there was Michael Richards, there was Julia Louis-Dreyfus, and we sat down, read the lines, and I didn't think the lines were so funny, and I started changing lines, and people looked at me like, you're crazy, you're doing this for NBC. And I said, well, so finally they gave me the signal, shut up, don't do anything. And they said, you're going to play opposite a woman who screams a lot, whose speech is like Estelle Harris. So you play it very meek, like very Thurber-esque, and she will be the other one. And, well, this happened during the rehearsal, and I obeyed, and I listened to it. And I realized after a few rehearsals that I, too, would be leaving that show very quickly because nothing was happening. And Larry David came over, incidentally, he said, you're going to wear a bald wig because your son, Jason Alexander, wears a bald wig. And we want you to be that. I said, fine. For about 3 days, we kept doing that sort of thing, and I felt more and more restricted. And finally, the final day before we were supposed to shoot, I just took it upon myself. And when she said, this was Estelle Harris, you're the one who ruined his life. You never were there for him. You were a lousy role model. You weren't a father. And I, out of desperation, I says, you're the one who killed him off. You slept in bed with him. You made him sandwiches. You never treated him like a real object. And the place broke up and laughed. And at that point, Larry David stood there like this. And Jason comes over to me and says, don't be afraid to hit me. I says, what do you mean hit you? He says, like this, what do you mean like that? I said, I can't hit you, you're my son, you're 35. He says, don't be afraid. So he says, Dad, can I have the keys to the car? Bang, I gave him a real smack. And they absolutely fell apart. And at that point, Estelle Harris said to Larry, can I hit him too? And Larry David said, no, Estelle, only one person can hit Jason at a time.